Phil, what time constraints and what time demands does this course place on students, and what qualities do you think mature students have to help with these demands?
So as a HE course, it is a full-time course, even though the hours at college seems like it's a part-time. So normally you do 12-hour weeks, as in contact time, and what we suggest is that learners replicate that in their own time. So in theory, that makes the full kind of course. So it'd be kind of 12 hours with staff, 12 hours without staff. The independent learning part is the most difficult bit, to get the extra reading done and to get all the assignments and all the extra work that's kind of desired for the course. Most learners will find that quite difficult because of the independent part, to ensure that they cover everything they need to cover. We often find with mature learners, because they have obviously often gone through work, they've had other commitments, they understand the kind of ways of using their time correctly to ensure that everything is done in a timely fashion, and they use their time probably more wisely. So when they sit down to do their work, they're probably more concentrating on doing it, whereas in majority of younger learners will find things to get in the way, so often they are not working as efficiently as probably a mature student would be. So I find that mature students will understand that gap between work, study, and finding the time to fit those kind of parts in.
Thank you. And mature students often have ability worries. They've been out of education for many years. What support do Boston College offer to help them through the steep learning curve of getting back into education?
So it kind of starts from the day that they kind of enrol. So we often have a lot of discussions around what they've got currently, kind of where their future steps are, and from there we can kind of know if they're on the course for the right reasons in the first place. And then from there we do kind of an assessment day, an assessment task that they get involved in, and that way it kind of gauges to us what standard of work they're currently producing, and from that we can normally find what support we need to put in place. So often what we'll do is we'll do those assessments, kind of feedback to the mature learners to see if they feel like they think they'd be able to cope with the change of careers or the change of approach. And we look at offering support wherever possible. So we do put on like study sessions, we do put on like they have student handbooks. So we try and do things that they can take away with them, but also be available for them to ask questions if they feel like they struggle. Normally the first assignment is the kind of leveler to know where it's at, and then we make sure that those learners get kind of verbal feedback as well as the written feedback to ensure that they understand what we're looking for and if they need more support in those areas. But often it's through the study skills that we try and incorporate in lessons to ensure that they cope with the kind of reintroduction to education, I suppose.
And then finally, would you like to see more mature students in the college, and what qualities do you think they bring to enhance the overall education experience?
I think with most of our learners coming straight from level 3, so often they're the 18-year-olds, because they haven't had the extra kind of experiences that the mature learners will obviously go through. Often we find the mature learners are the ones that are more focused and probably bring a lot more to lessons. So often, even if they haven't got the background knowledge as some of the younger students have, they can apply it a lot more easier because they kind of seen things evolve and develop. So I think having more mature learners does help if we've got the happy medium. I think if you had too many mature students, not enough of the kind of level, like the lower level, the younger ones that have come through, I think you might have another shift, because often we find the mature learners learn quite a lot from the younger kind of students and vice versa. So almost it is that relationship between the skill based, the knowledge base, and then bridging the gap between them all. But what we find is mature learners often focus the younger ones because they bring their kind of past experiences to explain the importance of what they're doing. I think sometimes the groups that don't have mature learners in, often you can see a difference between the way they approach the learning to when a mature learner is actually in the class. So just the dynamic can change because of the fact that they've got someone who in their eyes might be the age of a parent or even older, or maybe like an older brother or sister. So often the mature learners is someone either they look up to or they actually bounce off, because they see them as someone that they can kind of talk to maybe about other stuff that probably staff won't talk about. And I think that kind of relationship between the two is where the kind of good part comes out, really. So I think mature so I think mature learners are needed, and I think they do bring that level, and I think it's the way that they interact is why it makes it a better kind of experience for both sides of the pies.
Thank you very much.